The races are heating up. Top of the AFC, top of the NFC, the wild cards, the race for the number one pick. We're breaking it all down for you today on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Krabs from Locked On Dolphins. And we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to issue a big thank you, shout out, and welcome to our everydayers. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate y'all being here very, very much. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5.
Joe, happy Victory Monday to all who are celebrating here on the program. It is Monday, December 9th, and the landscape's really fascinating right now. On both ends of the spectrum, too. You've got the race for the top of the 2025 NFL Draft, and then you have, obviously, the conference races for postseason spots in both the AFC and NFC. We are starting on the AFC side of things here, Joe, where you had a heavyweight fight last night that some more of that Chiefs voodoo magic came in down the stretch. You had Pittsburgh kind of taking control and keeping pace in the AFC North in their bid to kind of low-key be in the race for the 2 seed, the Pittsburgh Steelers. So where do you want to go?
Well, let's start with the Kansas City Chiefs, man. They win. They get to 12-1. Chargers fall to 8-5. And when Kansas City took possession of the ball, down by 1 with 4.5 minutes left in that game, we all had the same thought.
They're not going to get the ball back.
Is Herbert going to get the ball back? Nope.
And it was the execution of that possession, too, that I thought was really impressive, right? Yeah. Because they got behind the sticks a couple of times in that drive where Pat has to get off his spot and has some tight window throws with trying to just take easy completions underneath. And the fact that happened early in the possession and they still managed to take it all the way down and execute a 4-minute possession, needing points to win the game, that's why we all joke about the Chiefs and the voodoo magic, because situationally it feels so routine for them to do it at this point.
Yeah. Of course, a doink right in there. That ball was going left, baby. That upright was at the right place at the right time, pushed that thing through. The Chiefs get to 12-1, which opens up a 2-game lead over Buffalo and Pittsburgh, who are both at 10-3 with 4 to play. And obviously the Bills lose to the Rams. Insane game, 42-44. And the Bills have the tiebreaker over Pittsburgh, but what's interesting about that is the reason they have the tiebreaker is based on strength of victory. Here's the reality of what the Bills have left. They have the Lions, who are 12-1. But then it's the Jets and 2 against the Patriots. Mm-hmm. The Bills' strength of victory probably going down considerably.
And now Pittsburgh's got all those games against the North.
Right, so that's the other side of it.
Cleveland.
Pittsburgh's got Philly, Baltimore, Kansas City, and Cincinnati to close things out. So it's probably going to be more likely that the Bills have a better record through their last 4 than the Pittsburgh Steelers have through their back 4. But it's interesting right now that the reason the Bills still hold the 2 is strength of victory, knowing that you got some real crap teams that the Bills are probably going to beat to close out the year. Now, that makes the Detroit game next week all that much more important if they can get it.
So where do you think this leaves the Chargers? I think the Chargers have a massive game against Tampa Bay coming up next weekend.
Huge.
Because you think about after that, Chargers have Broncos in week 16. Then they have Patriots week 17 and the Raiders, who, do you think 10 gets you in? Do you think there's any chance? Miami would have to run the table Final 4 to put you in peril. But with the Chargers right now, if you drop the one to Tampa and then you drop the one to Denver the following week, like a 3-game losing skid here for the Chargers, I don't think is outside the realm of possibility. And if that's the case, that does kind of put you on a little bit of rocky road the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's an interesting landscape in the AFC where we already have, is it 6 teams eliminated? By comparison, 1 in the NFC. And the Colts and Dolphins at 6 and 7, they're going to need some things to go their way.
If the Colts beat the Broncos, they could.
Yeah, especially because they have a tiebreaker over Miami, which looms large if one of those seeds that are currently in falls off. Where 4 through 8, dude, they're all 8 and 5, or 4 through 7 are all 8 and 5 in this in this conference. So, I mean, we'll play. It'll take care of itself. But boy, is it fascinating! Not just at the for the last couple spots, but also at the top. I mean, the least interesting thing is probably Houston at the 4 seed, but they're not playing good ball. And I mean, they have the tiebreaker over the Colts, but at least
the Colts might have the easiest schedule left. And the Texans go Miami, Kansas City, Baltimore.
Jeez.
And who's the last one's not a lay down game either. Tennessee at Tennessee.
Dude, they could easily go 1 and 3 or 2 and 2. Easily.
Right. So you think about that as 8 and 6, like you might be sitting at 9 and 8.
And is this the Colts bye week comes? It feels like at a good time. Boy, Denver, Tennessee, Giants, Jacksonville. Boy, the Colts got a chance here, don't they?
They do. They got a chance division, and they got a chance wild card.
Wow, there's 2 really reasonable paths.
Viable paths for them.
Wow,
which is funny because the games that might end up costing them the most were the ones that they went to Flacco because they thought they had a chance to make a run. And then they took it back off the table and they've started winning some games again.
Those 2 starts were against the Vikings and Bills. Would those results be different with Richardson? You know what I mean?
That's not, but yeah. I mean, Joe was disastrously bad in that stretch.
No, you're not wrong. He certainly didn't give them their best chance to win those games.
Right.
At least with Richardson, there's some physical upside that maybe introduces some variance. Those are probably, and as a fan of a team that played them during that stretch, I wanted Flacco. So I think that's probably your answer, right? So,
right. There's more unknown and a bigger menu with Richardson, who still has the big arm, but also has the running element to his game that you could have potentially tried to present some new challenges with. But I digress.
So the answer here, or the storyline is, don't blow it if you're currently in. Pressure's on from the Colts and Dolphins, and the race for the top is becoming more clear that it's Kansas City, but they also need to take care of their business. And again, it's an important year for them with the week 6 bye that they've had to get this bye if they're going to go 3-peat and do all the things that they had in mind for this season.
People are going to be focused in on that. That's a Christmas Day game, right? The Kansas City Pittsburgh game.
Yeah.
But this has a good chance of being settled by then. I think when you consider next week, they're at Kansas City's at Cleveland next week. And then the week after that, they're home against the Texans.
Well, if they beat Cleveland and Buffalo falls to Detroit, then
but even Pittsburgh being on their heels and having a head-to-head left.
Right, because of what Pittsburgh has left.
Right.
Yeah. If the Bills lose to the Lions, enjoy your bye week, Kansas City. Pretty much, right? I think that's what's going to happen. But we'll play them all. We'll see what happens. We're talking NFC, folks, on the other side of it. Folks, be sure to stick with us. Time is our most precious commodity, so don't waste it scrolling through the same mind-numbing content for hours and hours. How can you spend it wisely to improve yourself? Our sponsor, Hillsdale College, is offering more than 40 free online courses, including Constitution 101, Introduction to Free Market Economics, The Rise and Fall of the Roman Republic, and a brand new documentary-style course on Marxism, socialism, and communism. All of Hillsdale's courses are self-paced so that you can start whenever and tune in wherever. Plus, if you'd like, you can go deeper with readings, quizzes, discussions, or simply just enjoy the lectures. Go right now to hillsdale.edu/lockedon to enroll. There's no cost, and it's easy to get started. That's hillsdale.edu/lockedon to register. Hillsdale.edu/lockedon. Today's episode is sponsored by Prize Picks. If you love watching the game, you're going to love Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy. Whether it's football, basketball, or any of your favorite sports, Prize Picks makes your holidays bigger and brighter. Here's why you need to check it out. You can now win up to 200 times your money on Prize Picks. Plus, this holiday season, they're giving away $30 million in rewards during Picksmas and offering 2 free picks in December. And when your picks hit, Prize Picks makes it easy to cash out. You can get your money in as quick as 15 minutes. For Monday Night Football tonight, I'm actually looking at Joe Burrow to go more than 278.5 passing yards, and for Jamar Chase to go over half, a 0.5 rushing or receiving touchdowns. It's quick, it's simple, and so much fun to challenge myself and my friends. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's right, $50 instantly when you play $5. Prize Picks, run your game.
We will.
Okay.
Shamar Stewart announcing he is declaring for the 2025 NFL Draft.
After he accepted his Senior Bowl invitation, this felt like a formality, right?
Doesn't matter. It's still official.
Yeah, we got some defensive linemen coming out, brother.
Fired up.
We got them. We don't got much else. We got defensive linemen.
Let's talk about the NFC. The Vikings ran away with it.
The game went how we thought, right?
Well, it was 21-21 at the end of 3 quarters.
Yeah, but then it's the Falcons pass rush stopped being a thing. Sam Darnold, big throws. Kirk throwing picks there late, couple of them. That game normalized.
5 touchdown passes for Sam Darnold.
Yeah, man, he was dealing, brother. Dealing.
Averaged 12.4 yards per attempt.
Yeah. Come on home, Kirk. Someone's going to pay Sam Darnold, Kyle Krabs.
Yes, they are.
I'm glad it's not going to be my team.
It's the terrifying prospect of the people are going to point to the Baker Mayfield journey and pathway. But Baker stayed in the same environment with the same, and I know there was a coaching staff change because Dave Canales left. But transplanting Sam out of Kevin O'Connell with what Kevin O'Connell's been able to do with
anybody,
Josh Dobbs, and that's no shot at the Pastronaut, right? But late stage Kirk, you got Kirk paid by Atlanta, so maybe this
right.
Is
Daniel Jones is where he needs to be, baby.
Yep. That to me is the very unsettling element of somebody going to pay Sam Darnold probably $30+ million per season.
I think your best case scenario is whatever team hires Brian Flores, that Wes Phillips is the offensive coordinator, and you bring Sam Darnold, and that's like your situation. But hey, enjoy the ride, baby. They're 11-2, very much alive in every imaginable thing, whether that's the 1 seed, the NFC North. They got another game against Detroit, to close out the year. Chicago, Seattle, Green Bay in between, man. Go do it, Minnesota. Go do it. Here I am thinking the Bills are going to get a top 50 pick from Minnesota in the dig straight.
Nah.
What the hell's going on here? What is this?
Enjoy your 59th pick or whatever.
Exactly.
Just a really fascinating team because they've been so unique in how they've gone about their build. And they had the adversity with J.J. McCarthy going down, and this looking what it's looked like for them. It's really cool for like a show that's committed to doing like the team building stuff and the process of how you assemble a team. And we had the questions defensively about what their secondary was going to look like. They made the right bet on Stephon Gilmore to come in and kind of be the glue cornerback piece for them. They're an impressive bunch, and they're not going to go away. I think that they may have some personnel turnover, and they're going to have a transition quarterback. This seems to be a problem amidst what is going on with Detroit and how Green Bay looks. I do not envy the Chicago Bears for being the team that has to try to break the glass ceiling with what these teams already have in place as like long-term infrastructure to work with moving forward.
Yeah, no 1-game bump for the Bears, huh?
No.
Boy.
About as far from a 1-game bump as you could possibly get.
Disaster.
We had 3 yards at halftime.
Dude.
3 yards
at disaster. All All right, let's talk about the NFC West. Obviously, the Seattle gets a big win. They've won 4 in a row. They're 8-5, and obviously they're just better than Arizona. So that's goodbye, Arizona. Thanks for your moment in the sun. But between Seattle and that win, getting to 8-5 again, 4 in a row, and the Rams, I mean, the Rams showing what they can be offensively against Buffalo. Holy smokes! I mean, Stafford,
Puka Nacua, and Cooper Kupp. They just decided today we're going to go off today. When you get a game like that, what do you do besides just shrug your arms and you're like, all right, we gave up 44 points.
Yeah, from the Bills side of things, I think that's what you say. But for the Rams to have that performance, like, you got to feel like you can show up and ball with anybody, right? I mean, obviously defensively a world of issues for that football team, but the inside zone with Kyron, the connection that Kupp and Nacua have with Stafford was pretty freaking insane, man. And so they got the best quarterback in the division, you know, and so they got another head-to-head against Seattle to close out the division.
Also have the best coach in the division.
Like, I'm not sleeping on them one game back. Next, they got at San Francisco, at the Jets, Arizona, and Seattle. Like,
yeah, I think the worst they do is 9-8. I think this is going to be a winning season for them. I would not put it past them to run the table.
Yeah, I think it's possible. And they've already won 2 in a row. They could close this thing out with 6 wins in a row, 7 of the last 8. And they could, I mean, if they could just play a little better at the beginning of the year, it wouldn't have to do this.
Right. Yeah. Don't start 1-4. Right. But
right.
Nevertheless, I mean, they already won the head-to-head with a comeback win against San Francisco early in the season. And that's before San Francisco looks like what San Francisco looks like right now. You know, the only thing working against them in this game is that it's a short week on Thursday. We could be fired up and fist pump about that's the game we get in 3 days. But, like, I'd pick him to beat the Jets.
Right.
I'd pick him to beat the Cardinals, and I'd pick him to beat the Seahawks right now.
Yeah. So the NFC West is fascinating, but it is becoming these things take care of themselves. It's becoming, Seahawks and Rams. How about that dude that bet $3.1 million on the Carolina Panthers to lose to the Rams? Boy, the Xavier Leggett jersey there's got to be in that guy's house. My goodness, boy. Come on. Leggett's had some bad drops the last couple of weeks, kind of spoiling some really big moments from Bryce, man. I think the Panthers we'll get to the Panthers probably more in the next second. I think these losses are exactly what you want. Bryce is playing well.
Mm-hmm.
Your talent is not there, but like, it's rallying around a first-year coach. You're getting better throughout the course of the season. But this is exactly the type of losses you want if you're Carolina.
Yeah, I think I did my latest mock, which we'll talk about later this week for 30-13. But I chuckle because you do the commentary, and I'm like, Carolina at 4. I'm like, this is like a really weird team that, like, right now you would say they don't need a quarterback, they don't need offensive line help. Very rare,
right,
to be a team picking in this stratosphere that doesn't need either one of those things.
Right, well, perfect with the supply that exists in this class.
Right,
they can get themselves a defensive playmaker. They could trade back. Good spot to be.
Want to get to the NFL draft order?
We'll get to the NFL draft order. By the way, the Eagles won the game. They're 11-2. They're running away with the East. On the other side of it, the draft order is taking shape. We're talking about that, folks. Be sure to stick with us. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com, and you can get in on this action tonight for Monday Night Football. They got the Bengals -5.5. If you like the Cowboys, you can get the money line at +210. They're at home. I don't know if that'll work. Over-under for this game, 49.5 points. Get in on the action, folks. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
Separation season is upon us.
It is.
You know whose fans, I bet, are waking up a little disappointed this morning?
Jaguars are waking up.
Jacksonville Jaguars fans.
What a crappy win.
All right, so I mean they've been in the pole position on Tankathon for the entirety of the season, it feels like.
Seems like it, yeah.
I mean they started 0-4, then they're 1-4, and then they're 1-5, and then they're 2-5, and then they've lost every game since until they went to Tennessee and beat the Titans. So now they go from 1 to 5. They, from a strength of victory perspective, or strength of schedule perspective, excuse me, they're significantly worse strength of schedule than both the Raiders and the Giants. So if they were going to stay in that bucket of teams that were tied with that record, they would be in the first position still, regardless of the other results that happened over the weekend. But now you're at a spot where, because of New England having a softer strength of schedule than you and Carolina having a softer strength of schedule for you, you don't just win and get jumped by the two teams that have just 2 wins. You get jumped by half the teams that have 3 wins.
Yeah. And we're still in an NFL world where 25% of the league is 3-10 or worse.
Right. And Jacksonville, you tread lightly now, guys. You've got the Jets, the Raiders.
Oh, no.
And the Titans are your next 3 football games.
Careful
now. All of these Travis Hunter mocks or trade out a first overall pick to a team that's desperate for one of these quarterback situations. Tread lightly, because you might mess around and win 6 games and be picking 11. Like
right.
That's how the schedules or the win-loss record is stacking this year.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong about that. So the current holder of the number 1 pick is Vegas.
The Raiders.
Number 2 is the Giants. Are there 2 more quarterback needy teams in the NFL? There's not. Those are the ones more than any team that need a quarterback.
Yeah, that's probably a fair statement.
They're 1 and 2.
Because Aiden O'Connell sounds like he's going to be down for the year.
Yeah.
And the Giants cut Daniel Jones. And
I got a feeling Drew Lock's not it either there.
Drew Lock had a right turn at Albuquerque there when he could have gone straight down at first down.
Boy, that was tough, man. That was tough.
Did you see the video from the banquet over the weekend with Dion and Antonio Pierce?
I did not.
I said, I just need you to do one thing for me. Draft those Sanders boys.
Who said that?
Deion Sanders said that to Antonio Pierce.
Okay, so he wants him. He wants him to go to the Raiders. That's significant.
We're happy. Well, I'm sure if Deion had a chance to see his son go to Las Vegas, where Tom Brady's at, and that team had the number 1 overall pick, so you could be the number 1 overall pick. Like,
yeah,
I feel like those would alleviate some of the concerns that Deion's kind of said. Like, if it's not a right situation, I'm not going to want Shedeur to go there, and we're going to try to facilitate that.
Falcons, Jaguars, Saints, and Chargers. That's what stands in the way from the Raiders being the number 1 pick. Who's going to be the quarterback? Desmond Ritter's going to be the quarterback. We got a real shot at this, right?
Falcons, Jaguars, Saints, Chargers.
That's it.
Well, they'll lose the game to Atlanta for sure, because Atlanta is desperate to stop the bleeding.
You'd like to think.
Yeah, I think they'll take care of that one. Jacksonville, that one's going to be giving some Bengals, Dolphins 2019 vibes. Right. Where it's like, oh, Cincinnati's going to lie down. The Dolphins are up big. And then the final 5 minutes happen. It's like, oh, they scored 18 points in forced overtime. And then they end up losing anyway and go on to get the number 1 pick. So if you're a fan of tank bowls, Jacksonville, Las Vegas on December 22nd is 1 to soft circle. That's a huge game.
Kyle, any quick thoughts on the college football playoff bracket?
I didn't take much. I think they'd probably be wise to kind of reassess the seeding process. Like, Penn State lost the Big Ten championship game, and they got
a heck of a path.
They have an easier path to the semifinals and Oregon, like potentially matching up with Georgia than the team that they lost to in the Big Ten championship game. Which is
yeah. You don't want the Tennessee, Ohio State, Oregon bracket's the crap one, right?
Yeah, I'd be pissed if I was Oregon. I'd be like, really?
Right. Penn State. Come on, man.
So
Penn
State hosts
SMU,
which is like a fun upstart team, but regardless, and then your award for winning that game is going to play Boise.
And Texas has got a nice situation here too. They host Clemson, then Arizona State.
Arizona State's a fun team. Like
I watched a little bit of Arizona State against Iowa State. Watched like a solid 10 minutes of that game, and I thought Arizona State looked really good to me.
Do you know anything about their head coach?
Nothing.
Kenny Dillingham.
Fake name.
So guess what year Kenny Dillingham was born in?
1987.
You're close. 1990.
I can't do this.
34-year-old Arizona State head coach Kenny Dillingham.
Jeez, man.
And he gets it. Like he was coming off big wins. He was the OC at Oregon most recently in 2022 and then took the Arizona State job. They win big games and he gets on the podium and he does like rah-rah speeches to the boosters about like, this is the feeling for this program that
doesn't really.
Yeah. Like he's
Dan Campbell at college.
He gets this era of college football and the messaging and NIL and dollars and boosters.
Phoenix native Kyle Krabs.
Yes.
Wow.
And alma mater, Arizona State, class of 2012.
Tell you what, man.
I really dig what Arizona State's got going on right now, which is impressive because like we've been down there.
All right, my Sun Devils got some of the best
uniforms in college football.
Right, I'm in.
They got a great campus. Now the distractions on campus would be worrisome. Did you hear the Rob Gronkowski? I know we're off the rails now, but we got a few minutes. Yeah. Did you hear the Rob Gronkowski story about the player that they had him host at Arizona? And they got like chased by a helicopter.
Yes.
And then some time passed and like that player ended up being teammates with Gronkowski in New England.
Insane.
It was an offensive lineman. I think it was Rob didn't say, but like there were just like internet sleuths who kind of tracked it down. I think he played in Miami. I'm blanking on the name though.
Did I unfairly lump you into Arizona State? Are you rooting for your alma mater, Penn State? Big passionate fan.
No, credential me.
Kyle Krabs versus Penn State is
outrageous.
So you're not rooting. You're not actively rooting for your. I mean, you're a Pennsylvania native. No. You grew up the whole thing. No. You're indifferent that they go on a run here.
Nope.
Got a clear path to go do this thing.
Big game, Jimmy Franklin, man.
Who's your team? Are you? Well, I also, I got a little soft spot for Tennessee.
Who am I rooting for in the college bracket?
Yeah, you got to pick a team. I know you kind of like Texas. I know in your heart, but you don't like Quinn Ewers. So that's not
correct. I do not. I'm kind of down with Boise just because I like Ashton Genty so much, but I know that that's not a realistic. I really dig what SMU's done with the transfer portal. They brought in a bunch of talent from like University of Miami. They got a bunch of ballers. They got some really good.
Yeah, Miami fell out of this, huh?
Yeah, they dropped the ball. Don't blow a 21-point lead against Syracuse. I don't know what to tell you.
Boy, that's tough. And then Syracuse beat who they beat? Maybe Miami. That's who they beat, Miami. That opened the door for Clemson to go to the ACC championship.
Yeah, because Clemson lost to South Carolina, and you thought they were done.
Jeez. And now here they are. Playing for a chance of the Natty.
If Texas was starting Arch Manning, I would probably be going for Texas.
Yeah. That's a deal breaker for you, though.
But they're not.
Can't go to war with Quinn Ewers, right?
You can't go to war with him.
Well, wait. I was watching that Georgia Texas game, and I thought to myself, maybe the backup quarterbacks are better for both of these teams.
A 1,000,000,000% Steve Sarkisian, if you're listening to the show, please give yourself to actually win the national championship and start Arch Manning.
Ewers is going to be in this spot twice in a row.
Yeah, he's getting like I can't believe it. And then they come out in overtime and Arch takes the first snap and you're like, maybe this is it. And then it's like, no, one play, we're going to run QB power with him and he's going to get 4 yards and that's it. And I really like Georgia's talent. Georgia's probably my favorite team from a talent perspective. Arizona State's probably my favorite team from like a vibes perspective.
Can we just be done with Carson Beck?
Yeah, man. As somebody who like kind of sees the appeal, the product does not come together.
And he's weird, man. He's a weird guy.
Yeah, a little goofy.
And the whole he doesn't like football. It's boring to him, dude.
It's giving some Trevor Lawrence vibes, right? Remember that whole
That's worse.
Trevor Lawrence.
That's worse. Trevor Lawrence is just trying to say that he's got other priorities in his life. This is way worse. Like, how do you be the quarterback of Georgia? You're not dialed in on what's going on in the world of college. Like, you got to love it, man.
Instead, it's like, I don't watch it. I don't watch it.
What? No, dude. No. Undraftable. Off my board.
I mean, I'd get down with Indiana. I don't know. I like a lot of these teams.
Indiana's got Curtis Rourke, right? I've only heard that he's the greatest quarterback ever for 6 months now.
Really,
my Sun Devils. Sets
right.
the Wolfpacker out. Ooh. And Tennessee. I want Tennessee or I want Arizona State.
All right. Well, let's simmer on this. Maybe we get some NFL draft talk tomorrow and we can decide. I could formally put my flag in the hill for who I'm rooting for in the college.
Some Levy Grell this week, Kyle Krabs.
That's right.
Jets, Browns, and Jaguars. Welcome to the party.
Say the first one again.
The Jets.
2 years in a row, knocked out by the Dolphins.
Is that right? 2 years in a row.
2 years in a row. Got officially eliminated playing the Dolphins.
Big dubs. Big dubs.
All right, that's going to do it for us here on Locked NFL Scouting with Kyle Krabs, Joe Marino. We appreciate you guys for checking out the show. As always, make it a great rest of your day. We will be back again tomorrow. And then we have some Levy Grails. We have a mock draft over at 3013 that's being posted today that you guys can read. Joe, don't go cheat. Don't look.
I never do. I'm not a cheater, man.
Very good. We're out here. Enjoy the rest of your day.